Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Collaborative Tools with InduSoft Web Studio webinar. So, first of all, I'd like to take a minute to thank you, all of our partners and clients, for this past 15 years. It's only because of you guys that you're able to keep evolving our product with innovation, success. So really, together, we are stronger. Okay. So here we have the agenda for the presentation today. My name is Paulo Guerra. I work with the consulting services team for InduSoft. I've been working on this department for 5 years now. And pretty much through this department, we work together with system integrators, OEM, machine builders, and customers to develop their final solution, to help them develop their final solution using our platform, so using the InduSoft Web Studio product family. And today I'll be talking a little bit about the collaboration add-on. So we start by a brief introduction to this tool. Then we're going to talk about application lifecycle management, or ALM. Then we're going to take a look on Microsoft Team Foundation Server. We're going to talk about the setup, so pretty much what is needed in order to use this add-on to be able to collaborate, to have a collaborative environment. And then we'll go through a live demo. On the live demo, you start by first creating, setting up, showing how to set up an account using Team Foundation Server, then connecting this account to InduSoft, connecting InduSoft or the add-on, the collaboration add-on to this account. And then we're going to simulate a development of a very simple project on a collaborative environment. And at the end, we'll open for a Q&A section. So really important, if you have any questions or comments during the presentation, at the end of the presentation, it's really important that you type on the Q&A box or on the chat window from the webinar interface, because unfortunately I'm not able to listen to what you guys are saying during the presentation and even on the end. So it's really important for you guys to type those in, and hopefully we'll have time to answer most, if not all of them. Okay. So let's start talking about this add-on, the collaboration tool add-on. So the collaboration tool is an add-on to our product, to the InduSoft Web Studio, that you can install together with the InduSoft Web Studio in order to have a collaborative development environment. So the idea is really, just like the slide is showing there, that you're going to have a central server where all your projects, all your library of projects will reside. And then you're going to have several developers, engineers, people working on your project, connect their development machine, so pretty much the InduSoft station, to this server to be able to collaborate, so pretty much develop the same project at the same time, for instance. So you could have the first developer working on a screen for project A, while the second developer is actually writing a script for the same project. A third one could be creating the driver interface, for instance. So really the idea of having a multi-user development environment. But the collaboration tool is not only about a collaborative environment, actually way more than that. So together with the collaborative environment, you're going to also get version control, so source control. So the idea that anytime any of these developers make a change to a file, this new version is automatically saved to the server, and now you have a version control. You have different versions of the same file. And with that comes traceability, so that later you can look back on the history and see exactly what was changed, who changed it, when that change happened. So a very nice tool. And all that using the built-in security system from the Team Foundation, from the server, that we're going to be talking more in a few minutes. So again, in order for the user to connect to the server, being able to open a project, make change to a project, they need to have a credential with privilege, so a very secure environment, so you're protecting your project as well. This add-on tool also provides native backup and restore capabilities, so pretty much you no longer need to be worried about making backups, manual backups at the end of the day, push into a network drive. All that's done automatically through the use of this add-on. On top of the version control portion, you also have version comparison portion. So now you not only have different versions of the file, but you can also compare these versions side by side. So pretty much you can choose, okay, I want to compare these two versions side by side, and InduSoft will open both sides side by side, and will even highlight for you the change from one to the other. So you can very easily, for instance, look at a script and understand, okay, why a script that was working before is no longer working, because you have exactly highlighted the proportions of the code. So a very good tool to help compare files and then debug issues as well. Offline mode, that's one key functionality for us on the automation SCADA world, because unlike many of the developers on the software development world, where they are at their office all the time, connected to the network all the time, we on the automation world many times have to finish the last 5–10% of the project during the startup, or even if you already have everything done during the installation, the FAT, the startup, you need to make changes, fix small issues, and in most of the case, you are on a customer site, on a remote location where you won't have internet connection or even a VPN access to your company infrastructure. So it was really important to be able to still use InduSoft Web Studio, still use this tool even on offline mode. So the idea that even when you're not connected to the Team Foundation, to the server, you are still able to edit screens, create tags, change driver sheets, and so on and so forth. But not only be able to change those, make the change, add new files, but also be able to very easily, once you're back to your company, to your office, very easily merge or push, sync this data back to the server. And now on version 8.0 of InduSoft Web Studio, we just released to the market, we are introduced a new feature on this add-on called Collaboration Go Online, which address exactly this scenario I just described. And we're going to be demonstrating that during the presentation, during the live demo. And all of that is accomplished through native integration to Microsoft Visual Studio Team Foundation. So it's everything integrated inside InduSoft Web Studio, and you'll be seeing that during the live demo as well. So a lot of these items that I just described, in addition to some other, is also referred as to application lifecycle management system or solution. So what exactly is an application lifecycle management, or ALM, as you might heard in the markets? So the concept is really the union between the business management, the project management with software engineering. So the idea is to have a single point where everything is centralized, where you're going to have all your requirements. So you're going to manage all the requirements from your customer, all the software architecture, all the development phases from your project, so the development, the testing, maintaining your project once it's done, the change management, so as changes are coming, as customers asking for different changes, new functionalities, you're going to be managing that on central location as well. Project management, so you'll be able to very easily see, for instance, okay, how many hours are still left to be developed in order to fulfill all the requirements. How many hours you already spent, where exactly each resource on your team is currently working at, what are the items that are currently being developed, and also release management. So really the idea is to have a single point to visualize the entire life cycle of your project. And a very important portion of this system or this solution, the application lifecycle management, is what we call the product backlog. So the idea, as in any project, is that you have your stakeholders, so pretty much the decision makers, your internal client, customer, your end customer, that is going to provide you a list of requirements for this system, for this HMI, and with that, once you understand all the features that need to be on the system, the functionality of the system, you're going to create a big list of to-do items, or what we call the product or project backlog. So the product backlog, it's really a big list of all the items and all the tasks and items that needs to be developed in order to fulfill all the customer requirements. And so you have this big list, you're going to prioritize them based on order of development or complexity of development. and then you'll be assigning those tasks, those items, to all your resources on your team. And again, you'll be able to see this, the central portion of the system, the product backlog, on a single point. So all your developers, everybody involved on the project, will be able to go to the source control, to the Team Foundation server, and visualize where exactly are we at on the project development, what are we developing, what each user is working on. Okay, so those are the key concepts behind the ALM, Application Lifecycle Management. But what are the key benefits of using such a solution? So the first one, and in my personal opinion, probably the most important, my favorite one, is really traceability. So really being able to look back and see exactly, okay, who made this change, what was changed, when that was changed. That helped us a lot on complex projects, on big projects, and help us when you are working alone by yourself, and that's an important concept as well. When we talk about the collaboration add-on, we're not just talking about using that when you're using on a collaborative environment. You can actually use that when you're a single developer using, and you're going to have several benefits of that. And traceability is going to be one of that, because then you can go back in the history and understand, okay, why did I do the change? When did I change that? So really traceability being one of the key benefits. The second one is really interactivity through collaboration and flow of information. Because now, since you have a single point to visualize all the software development, it's very easy to collaborate, very easy to exchange data, exchange information with the other partners, the other resources on your team. So, for instance, we here at the consulting services teams, we have members of our team on 4 different locations, Brazil, US, Germany, and so on. So through the use of this add-on, being able to develop projects in a collaborative environment really helped us. So now we no longer need, for instance, to keep sending different versions of the file through emails and then having to manually merge the code and exchanging Excel files with, okay, what did I change today? You need to merge on your code. So really helped work on a collaborative environment, and as it's written there, you can either be everybody on a single office or even geographically distributed, just like we have here offices throughout the world and everybody's connected to the same Team Foundation service. Quality improvement. So just like I described, just the fact that now you have a system that you automatically merge the code for you, you no longer have to do manual merging, that will end up improving on your quality, in your quality. But also, since now you have a single point where all your customer needs is centralized, all your bugs, so even bugs as we express them as work items on the product backlog, since now everything is centralized and no longer lost in emails chain or Excel files floating around in boxes. So it really helped improve the quality of our work here on the consulting services and of the customers, system integrators using this solution. And reduce time to market. Because now all these items I just described helped reduce time to market, so pretty much being able to collaborate, to have more resources working at the same time when you need to deploy a faster solution, being able to automatically merge code, so avoiding issues, again, avoiding bugs. So again, overall you are delivering a way better solution, way faster to your end customer. So those are the biggest benefits of an application lifecycle management on our view. Now, why should we use that for a SCADA HMI system development, right? So first, SCADA can be actually usually quite complex applications and sometimes demand huge amount of development resources. So again, here on the consulting services, as I said on the beginning, we help system integrators sometimes, for instance, create huge applications for refineries, sugarcane plants, oil and gas rigs, for instance, or platforms. So those type of applications require sometimes several engineers working side by side for many weeks, if not months. So it's a big project, complex project that can get very complicated to manage if you are doing merge manually, controlling the history of the files, everything manually. The second scenario we also face on the consulting service is what we call our add-on projects. So the idea behind our add-on project or template, what we also refer to, is really to develop an InduSoft project, so develop a SCADA project, but develop in a way that we can sell, we can provide to customers as an out-of-the-shelf product. So for those of you familiar with, for instance, the InduSoft BI dashboard or the Business Intelligence dashboard, that's exactly a perfect example of that. So we develop a project, but we sell, we release that to the market as an out-of-the-shelf product. So anytime you're releasing a product, you have to be way more concerned about your source control, issues control. So once you have several hundred licenses to release to the market, it's really important to be able to know exactly, okay, I found an issue. Now I need to know exactly what versions were affected by that issue. I need to have an easy way to control what's going to be next, developed next on the release versions. So it was really important to have some sort of application lifecycle management. So those two scenarios were kind of the challenge that we were facing, and we presented to the development team of InduSoft, trying to figure out, okay, how can we best improve our processes to help avoid these scenarios or to make it easier to deal with these scenarios. And that's really when the idea of, okay, why don't we cannot integrate a SCADA system, a SCADA platform with an application lifecycle management and source control system. And that was really when the idea was born. The development team for InduSoft has been using such a system for many years while developing our product. So they already saw all the nice benefits we just described when they first started using. And that's really when we decided, okay, let's go ahead and invest to create this solution. So InduSoft was the pioneer on the automation world, on the SCADA world, to develop such a solution integrated into the product. But application lifecycle management is already well established, so it's a process already, a system already well established in the market. Pretty much any company that has any sort of software development will most likely have a system like that in place. And there are several solutions out there in the market that helps or that provides you to accomplish that. So I just highlighted here the top four, the four solutions we look at when you're deciding which one to use. So we have Microsoft Team Foundation Server, or also referred as TFS. We have IBM ClearCast, very famous, very powerful, but at the same time very, very expensive. HP and SAP Solution Manager. So we decided to go with the Microsoft Team Foundation mainly for two main reasons, and that being the simplicity of use when compared to some other competitors, and second, the costs. So we're going to talk during the demo. You can literally set up an account for free and put a system like that with no investment as far as the Team Foundation server goes. So pretty much the TFS is a Microsoft product offering source control, data collection, reporting, project track, and again is intended for collaborative software development, exactly what we are looking for to help us avoid that or work better with those scenarios. You can set up Team Foundation on your own server or on your premises, or even on the cloud. So you can do a cloud-based system with very low cost and highly customizable. And again, it's not just a source control, but it's also a collaborative software, but it's also an application lifecycle management. So we allow you to create work items and tasks into a consolidated project backlog for your project requirements. Okay? So now let's talk a little bit about the setup, what we need in order to have this solution working and ready to be used. So those are the 5 items we really need to work with. So the first one, of course, is the Team Foundation server, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Then the Team Foundation, then the 4 next. The Team Foundation server is the one that resides on the server machine, and then the fourth next items there is the one that's going to reside or is installed on the developer, on each one of the developer stations. So you have to have Team Foundation or Visual Studio Team Foundation Explorer 2010, InduSoft Web Studio, of course, the collaboration add-on, and have the collaboration add-on enabled in your InduSoft license. So for the Team Foundation server, as I said, you can either install that on your premises or on the cloud. So you can have a cloud-based system, and that's the one you'll be taking a look today and using today during the demo. And that's the one, literally, that I would strongly recommend people looking to start or putting a system like that in place to use. Because it's really easy to set up. Literally, it's just like creating an email account nowadays, like a Hotmail account or Gmail account. So it takes 2 to 3 minutes to set up something on the cloud. And you can start using that for free. So up to 5 users, you can create a Visual Studio Anywhere, what Microsoft also referred to, for free and start collaborating. So pretty much what you need to do is go to Microsoft website. So let's go here. So you go to Microsoft website, Visual Studio Anywhere, and you're going to pretty much create a Visual Studio online account. So first you need to be logged in with your Microsoft account. So if you do not have one, you can create one. Again, it's free of charge. A lot of people don't realize, but you can actually create a Microsoft account using your own company email or your own personal email. You don't really need to create a Hotmail or Outlook.com account for that. So for instance, today I'll be using my InduSoft account email address. And once you are logged in, then you can go ahead and actually create your Visual Studio Online account. And literally all it takes is just define the name that you want for your Visual Studio Online. So for instance, it would be something like your company, and as long as that's an available address nobody used before, you hit create account and you're good to go. Once you click create account, you create a free account, and here we have some of the functionalities with this free account. So you have up to 5 basic users, so meaning that you can have 5 users developing at the same time. You have limited stakeholder access, free work items for all the users, and then once you start using more of the solution, if you need, you can then upgrade to a MSDN subscription account from Microsoft, for instance, for a couple $100,000. Okay, so very easy to set up. Again, you don't have to deal with any IT, any server configuration whatsoever, and that's why we really recommend starting by using this cloud-based system. Once you create that, what you end up is with an URL that looks something like that. HTTPS, the company or the name that you defined, .visualstudio.com. This is a very important URL that you'll be using both to connect InduSoft to the Team Foundation server, but also to go and visualize your application lifecycle management through a web browser. So to look at your product backlog, to look at your work items, what you need to work next, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's everything you need to do on the server side. Now talking about the client side, the client machine, you need to install Visual Studio Team Foundation Explorer 2010. So pretty much this is a shell for Visual Studio that will allow you to also connect, so you can use this software to also connect to the Team Foundation server, and sometimes you might need that on top of InduSoft. So for example, you could want to add an external file to your Team Foundation that has nothing to do with InduSoft. So you could use the Team Foundation Explorer, and I'm going to do a demo, very quick demo on how to do that. But it also, besides having this client portion, it also provides all the APIs, all the DLLs that InduSoft needs to native integrate with TFS. So it's really important that you have that, even if you do not intend to use the Explorer, the Team Foundation Explorer. You'll be doing everything from inside InduSoft Web Studio. If you're using the cloud base we just talked about for your server, then you need to make sure that you also install Service Pack 1 for Team Foundation 2010, Team Foundation Explorer 2010, and the hotfix KB2581206. And all that is present on our documentation on the help manual from InduSoft Web Studio. Okay, once you have that installed, now let's talk about InduSoft. So if you do not have InduSoft Web Studio installed yet, you just run the installer. Really important, you click next on the setup until you hit the select features dialog. On this dialog, it's really important for you to check the collaboration tools checkbox, because by default it's disabled, so if you just keep going through and click next, you will not install this feature. In case you already have InduSoft or you didn't realize that, you can always run the setup again. Once it opens the dialog with the modify, uninstall, or repair options, you click modify and you click next, reach the select features dialog, click on collaboration tools and continue the installation. Once you select collaboration tools and continue the installation, you receive a message with the saying that you need to have the Team Foundation Explorer installed on your machine. So again, even if you do not intend to use the Team Foundation Explorer per se, InduSoft does require some of the APIs present on this installer. Okay, and last, very important, make sure that you have the collaboration add-on enabled in your InduSoft license. If you do not have, you can always contact your distributor, your seller, and ask them to add that. You can purchase that even for existing license. Okay, so now let's go through a live demo. So the idea today is really going to be to demonstrate how we connect to the Team Foundation and how we create a simple project and demonstrate some of the capabilities. So let's start, let's think about, okay, let's create a simple, for instance, project to control a tank of a refinery. So a simple HMI project that will be controlling a tank, an oil tank from a refinery, okay? So the first thing I want to start at, I'm going to go to my web browser here. So, and I have open here my Team Foundation server. So again, I'm using the URL, that URL that you created. So in my case here is InduSoft-consultingservice.demo.visualstudio.com. And once you connect to that, you have these 5 main tabs here. The one I want to start with is really the work. So if I go to the work, I can click here, and that's where you're going to access your project or product backlog. So here I have my product backlog. I have 2 main items. So I have here one item called HMI project development and another one called PLC program development. And then pretty much I have tasks below these items. So I'm breaking that big item, which creates the entire HMI, the entire PLC, into smaller tasks. And here on InduSoft Consulting Services, we use Scrum methodology. So pretty much Scrum, very briefly, it's a methodology, a software development methodology, where instead of working as in the past and developing the entire software and then starting testing and then releasing the software, the idea with the Scrum methodology, it's really to break the development into smaller phases, or what we call sprints. So pretty much the idea is that you're going to create small tasks that you can develop, test, and release, or at least show to the customer into one sprint. So for instance, we use 1 week sprint here at the consulting services team. So if I need to create, so let's just create one simple task here just to kind of show how that's done. So I can click here. It asks what is the name of the task. So I'm going to maybe put, okay, maybe let's review valve control logic. Okay. So I'm assigning this task to be done on sprint 1. So the first sprint is a very high priority item. I can assign this to one member of my Team Foundation, my team, or one of my resources. Right now, I do not want to assign to anybody. I can write a description, so please review code, for instance, and I can assign the remaining work. Remaining work, it's similar to the number of hours you believe it's going to be used to develop or to create this item, to develop this item. But on Scrum, we refer as points. So I'm assuming that this is going to take 2 points or 1 point to finish this review. And I can save and close, and now it's there on my product backlog. So it's all the items that needs to be done, still needs to be done. Some I already have assigned to specific users here. Some are still open. Now, once you have all the product backlogs defined, you define who will be working on each item. Talking about the developer, so the day-to-day work of a developer. he would log in again to the same Team Foundation server, again, the same point of view for both everybody involved on the project, and he would go, for instance, to the sprint one, which is the current one. So he can click here, and now we provide another interface. TFS provides another interface, which is called the board, and we like it a lot, a very visual and easy way to see all the work that still needs to be done. What are the items? Who is assigned to each one of the items? What is the big items? What are the small tasks? Who is working on what, and what's already completed within these sprints? So a very easy and a way for a manager, for a project manager to look at and know exactly how the process of the project is going, to a developer know what he needs to work next, and so on. So I'm here, Paulo Guerra, I'm logged in as Paulo Guerra here. So the first item that I want to do is actually this one, create InduSoft project. So I move to progress, so this way everybody else on the team knows that I'm working on that right now. So I can double click and let's see, okay, so I need to create InduSoft project using a PC platform, 1500 tags, the screen resolution, and add the EBCIP project. Okay, very easy. Another nice feature here, as the items and work items and tasks are being worked, finished, in progress, you have the history. So the task was created by me today, now it's in progress, I'm working on that, so very easy way to see all the history of what has been accomplished on that item. So the first thing I want to do is actually create a folder for my project. So I'm going to come here to my computer. Just going to say, okay, so normally we use, for example, the syntax project number, and let's do 111 here, for instance. I know that I will have both the HMI and the PLC, so I'm going to call maybe HMI files, and another folder maybe called PLC files, okay? And now I'm going to go to InduSoft to actually start creating the project. So in InduSoft, once you have the add-on installed, you can click on Project, click on Collaboration, and it opens this dialog with several fields, but it's very easy to configure. Pretty much all you have to do is click Browse here, and it's going to provide a list of all the servers you have already configured. If you do not have, you click Servers, and then you click Add. You type your URL that we just created on the website there. Here, you click OK. It's going to ask you for a user and password. You authenticate with that, and you have that as an available Team Foundation server. So I'm going to pick the demo one that you'll be using today. I'm going to pick the project, team project, and here you see that I'm logged in as paulo.guerra@indusoft.com. So it's showing the current user that I'm using to log in here. I click Connect, and it's automatically connected. When you're setting up for the first time the collaboration server, you also need to set what we call the local folder, which pretty much, again, the idea is that you have all your projects resides on the server, but when you are editing your project, when you download the project, it needs to be downloaded somewhere on your hard disk, right, on your computer. So you can choose where you want to make this link, where you want to map what we call, when you want to map this workspace to. So for instance, I mapped to the documents SCADA project demo, and that's where, for instance, I created that folder with my projects. So right now we are connected, so now it's downloading this project that I had previously opened from the collaboration. So it's going to take a few seconds there. Okay, so now it's connected. It shows for us that we are connected, so it highlights here. And now I want to go ahead and actually create my first project. So maybe let's call tank or oil tank overview. I want to put, actually, I create another folder structure there, so I want to put below my project folder within the HMI files. It's a local interface, 1500 tags. I click OK. It asks for the resolution. I click OK, and now it's creating all those files locally on my machine for now. So if I go back there, I have here pretty much a InduSoft project structure, right? And if I go back to InduSoft Web Studio, it's there. But for now, it's not assigned, it's not associated with the collaboration server yet, with the Team Foundation yet. So what I have to do is right-click here and say Add Project to Collaboration Server. So it's going to throw a message saying, okay, depending on the size of application, might take a few seconds. You want to proceed? Yes. So I click yes. So now InduSoft is marking all the files to be added to the Team Foundation server. I mentioned to be added. It has not been added yet. So really important when using a collaborative, a source control system is the concept of the commit the chain, the checking chains. So to this point, I have not sent anything to the server yet. In order to commit the change to the Team Foundation, I have to come here and perform what we call a check-in. So I can click, it's going to show to me all the files that need to be added to the server. I can put a comment here, so this way there's a history there. So InduSoft project created. I can click here to display only my work items. I can run the query. I could even write a query, for instance, try to filter by the label or by the description, write some keywords there to filter. But now I just set to show everything that belongs to me, so it's assigned to me. And there you go. So that's the item that I'm working, says it's in progress. So I want to associate this check-in with this work item so that this way when people go to the Team Foundation, to the application lifecycle management, they can actually open this work item and see that the user Paulo Guerra did some check-ins associated with these work items. And I'm going to click check-in. So now InduSoft is really going to get these files and move to the Team Foundation server on the cloud. So literally it's making a copy of your local files from your hard disk to the cloud. So it's going to take there a couple seconds. So now I can go back to my Team Foundation here, the board, and I can actually say, okay, I'm done with this item. So this way, other users on the other resources on the team, other developers, know that, okay, this item is done. Maybe this other user can start creating the screen, for instance. And now I'm going to work on the second task here. So maybe on the PLC, create tank level control logic. So it's here. I already created my logic on the PLC. I just created the logic. The PLC program is ready. But again, that's a scenario where the PLC code, the program from the PLC is not tied to InduSoft Web Studio. So it's an external file to InduSoft Web Studio. But it would still be nice to have that control and save on the source control, just like the InduSoft files. We do not have a native integration from this PLC software, but we can still add this file to the source control. And this is one example. Other good examples of that would be, for example, documentation of your project. So if you have schematics, if you have drawings, SketchUps that you create for the screens, you could add all that to the collaboration as well, to the control system as well, to the Team Foundation. And in order to do that, you'll be using our Source Control Explorer. So the first thing I'm going to do here, I have here a folder, a file that I just created here, so a control logics PLC project. I'm going to copy that, move to my folder, but that's not HMI, that's actually a PLC file. I'm going to paste that there, so it's on my structure there. And now I'm going to move to my Source Control Explorer, which again is installed, is one of the requirements to install InduSoft Web Studio with the collaboration tool. So you open that, you have to connect, very similar to connecting InduSoft, actually the same dialog. So you click Connect Foundation, and it's going to have the same dialog as InduSoft. You provide your information, and you are connected. And now you can visualize what you have on your server. So this is actually looking on the cloud, what we have there. So you see that we already have the project that I just created, and we have the folder HMI files. I do not have the project PLC files yet, the folder PLC files yet, but I can now add those. So I can right-click and say Add Items to Folder. I can come here and say I want to add this folder. I want to add this, the PLC program, so this way it's on the source control as well. I click Finish, and now you see, remember the concept of being marked to be added. It's not there yet. It's just marked to be added. So now again, I need to perform a check-in in order to commit this change to the server. So I right-click, I do a check-in. I can write a command here, so PLC program, for instance, and I can say check-in, and it's going to send this file, upload these files to the server, and the add sign, plus sign is gone. So again, a nice way to move files, external files, to add external files to the collaboration server. Okay, so now let's go back here. So this is done as well, and maybe I'll start working on adding the PLC communication tag. I'll start working on add the PLC communication, for instance. So I'm going to get back to my project here. I'm going to add the driver. So we are using a control logic, so I need to use the ABCIP driver. I click OK. While I'm doing that, the other engineer is looking at their board and his board, and he just realized, okay, so Paul is already done creating the project. So maybe he can start creating the tank overview screen. So what I have here, I have a virtual machine. I'm going to move now to this screen. And pretty much on this virtual machine, I have, sorry, just a second. Okay, there it comes. Move to my other screen. So let's put it back here. Okay, view, full screen mode. Why did it do that? Here. Okay, there it goes. Okay, sorry. Okay, so now pretty much I have another machine here where I'm logged in with another user, so a user that I created called PHCG, so Paulo Guerra, but I'm using the Schneider Electric account instead of the InduSoft account, and I have InduSoft Web Studio as well. So the first thing, again, I need to connect, so I go there, I click Browse, I select what server I want to use, I select the project, so you see here that I'm logging now with a different user, so I'm logging as paulo.guerra@schneider.com. I can click connect, and now it's connected. So again, it's going to download that project from the collaboration. But as I said, so he went to his board. So again, the other developer, again, I'm logging as PHC Guerra here. He went to his board and he saw, okay, Paulo is done creating the project, the InduSoft project. So maybe I can start working on creating my screen, the overview screen. So I move to progress, and I go back to InduSoft. And now, before we open the project, just want to show. So this is my, again, the path on this virtual machine that I mapped my workspace to. So you see that I do not have my project PN1111. But once I go to InduSoft and now I say open project from collaboration, so it's going to list all the projects available on the server, and there it goes. That's our new project, Oil Tank Overview. I click OK, and InduSoft will download now all the files from that project that were already committed to the server to this machine. So it's going to start downloading that, and we're going to see, there it goes. So it's starting downloading. It's there. Now we have the project, so all the files, InduSoft project, and it's ready to start developing. So my task is really to create, so let's take a look at the task. It's really to create, okay, create overview, graphical representation of tank level IO indication, communication status indication. Okay, so very easy. I can come here. I can add a screen. So I can do a search. I'm going to call tank overview. I'm going to click OK. It's going to have here made a box to have like tank overview. Maybe let's put a dark one just to look a little bit nicer. Let's maybe call tank. So this will be the tank level indication. I want that to be on top. Maybe I want to increase a little bit the size of the font. Okay. And he said he wants a graphical representation. So maybe we'll use a rectangle with a bar graph here, maybe to indicate the tank level. So again, let's use maybe some nicer colors here. So I have the rectangle. I'm going to apply a bar graph animation to that. And I want to do light blue to indicate, oh, it's actually oil. So let's do maybe some orange, dark orange, something like that. I do not know the tags yet, so I'm not going to tag the screen yet. He said he also wants to have the IO values. So maybe let's come here and say, okay, the placeholder for the tag and the percent. Maybe let's decrease the size of that a little bit. And let's do known and known. So I just want to have the indication here. And the last thing he said he wants communication status indication. So maybe let's do here a circle. I'm going to put a color animation. So then I'll put the tag once I know what tag I'll be using. So if it's 0, the ones familiar with InduSoft communication, 0 means good. Anything different than 0 means there's a communication error. I'm going to say that I want to blink fast in red if there's an issue. And I think that's pretty much the work I need to do. So I can click to save that. So it's going to ask what is the name of the screen. I'm going to say, okay, tank overview. I'm going to say okay. So now InduSoft automatically mark this file to be added. So you see here there's a plus sign. And now again, I need to commit the change to the central server, to the TFS. So I can right click and say check in. So it's going to list for me, okay, you have to add this file. So screen overview, screen created, for instance. And then again, I want to filter my work items. I think I just have one work item. So there it goes. So it's in progress. I do the check-in. It's checking. I can come back now and actually say, okay, since I am already done with this item, I can move this item, so I can move this item from in progress, so I can move from in progress to done, right? And now this user is done with his job. So now let's go back to the other engineer working on the application. So he's there, he's adding the driver, right? So he's here, but he went back to his board and he just realized, so he does a refresh here, he performs a refresh on his web browser, and he just realized that the other engineer is done with the screen. So maybe he can already download this screen because he's adding the communication. So this way he already tags the screen together. So now what he needs to do is perform what we call a get latest version from the project. So he comes here, he right click and he say get latest version of the project. And then InduSoft will download from the server all the files, all the new screens, all the tags, everything that was created that's not present on this machine yet. And there it is. So now I have my screen here, right? So he opens by mistake, he changed that. So InduSoft automatically marks that to be checked in again. You can click save. And then he realized, oh, I moved the object that I should not be doing that. So he can right click and say undo pending change and say undo change, and InduSoft will download the file present on the server again. So there it goes, you're back to the original condition. So he was working on the driver, so let's add some tags real quick here. So maybe let's do a tank level. Does not exist. I'm going to create as a real. I do not know the station. I know it's a real, and I know the PLC. It's called, the PLC tag is called tank underscore level 1, for instance. I have the read status as well. Right, so I create this tag. So he saves that. InduSoft marks that to be checked in, to be added to the system, to the Team Foundation server, and he goes back to the screen and says, okay, now let's tag the screen because the other user did not know the tag, so now I know. So it's tank level here, same thing here, so it's tank level again, right, and read status. So as I'm working on this screen, the other user just realized he maybe made some mistake, he forgot something, so he goes back to his machine, to his development environment, and tries to open that screen. So he double clicks and he tries to edit the screens. Once he tries to edit, InduSoft shows a message indicating, okay, the other user, the Paulo Guerra at InduSoft, is currently working on this screen. And if you open and continue working on this, you won't be able to continue you won't be able to perform a check-in. You won't be able to commit the change back to the server because pretty much the screen is already checked out by the other user. So I say, okay, I do not want to continue, so I click no, I close. Okay, so just showing that again how it would work on a truly a collaborative environment. So now I'm done here with the screens. I can right-click here and say I want to do the check-in of all my pending change. So there's the screen, the application that I added to add the driver files, the tags, the screen that I changed it. So here I can say edit communication and tags. Maybe I filter again. I create here, add PLC communication tags, and I say check in, and InduSoft is going to check in the files back to the central server. He goes back there, and he moves that to be done as well. So now Paulo just realized that all the work items needed to be done, it's completed, right? So so let's say this one is done here, so there's no more work to do, there's no items left. So it's completed, and now it's time to go for the startup. So that scenario we just discussed, where you are no longer connected to your infrastructure, no longer connected, you don't have internet access. So the first thing, let's disconnect collaboration because we won't have internet access. So now we are disconnected, and we got to the customer side. So we are in the middle of the field, and the first thing we know once we get there is the IP address or the connection, right? So now I can come here and say 011.10.101 again, for instance, and it's going to show a message saying, okay, we are not connected to the collaboration server. Do you want to still make changes to the file? You can say yes, don't ask me again. I know that I'm offline right now and I want to be because I'm doing the startup, I'm doing the FAT. So I saved that. And the customer also said, you know what, it would be really nice to be able to change the level, to set the set point. So he wants to have a small pop-up, maybe, to be able to enter a set point. So let's create a small pop-up here. So pop-up, set point. So very small here. So it's a pop-up. Let's put some borders. So let's say 10th level. Okay. So he wants to have here enter set point. Then he clicks on the text box and he can put the tag that he needs, so the tag level. So he wants to put enable, it's 0 to 100%, so it's percent. And then a button here to confirm, to close and confirm the change. So we're going to call this pop-up tank level. So let's save this because you need to save. So I can click save. It's going to ask what is the name of my screen. So it's the pop-up tank level. Here I would put the command to open the pop-up tank level. And also let's put maybe the right indication. So every time we change the set point, we want to make sure that the value was written to the PLC successfully. So I can create a tag, do that, go back here, and do the right status here, right? So now I'm pretty much done. So I made the change that the customer requested, the issues we found during the startup, everything's working, the FAT was a success, and I'm back to my ops, right? So now I'm back to InduSoft. I need to connect to my Team Foundation and pretty much send all these changes that I made back to the server, to the Team Foundation server. So the first thing I want to do is actually click on the project tab and connect my collaboration again. So I'll connect. So now it's connected. And now we're going to be using the new feature introduced on version 8.0, which is called Collaboration Go Online. So I can now, because I know I did a lot of change while I was offline, I can right-click and I can say Collaboration Go Online. And pretty much InduSoft will look everything that happened since the last time you were connected compared to the version that is currently on the system and create, add all the files needed, mark all the files needed to be added, change made, all that. So if I right-click here and I take a look on what are my pending changes, so there were changes to my driver sheet, project tags, screens were added, the screens were edited, and so on and so forth. I do not want to commit that yet because I remember that during my startup, I did create some tags. I'm not quite sure I needed those tags. So what I can actually do now is go to my tags database, for instance, and I can right-click and say I want to compare. So I want to take a look on what I have now to what I had before. So it opens these two, and pretty much on the left here, so on this portion, I have my startup or my current tags database, and on the right side, I have my server file, so the latest one present on the server, so pretty much the one before the startup. And here it shows a navigation bar that you can scroll through the file, and it will highlight for you the change. So, okay, so yeah, there's a new tag here. Oh, so it's the right stats. Okay, no, that's definitely a tag that I needed. I need to keep that on the project, so I can close that, and now I can go ahead and really commit the change to the server. So again, very nice way to synchronize, but also to compare files, to make sure that what you are pushing to the server is really what you want. The mates that are ready to be pushed to the server, to be synchronized, to be checked into the server is really what you want to do. Okay, so with that, we kind of close the live demo here. So we're going to go back to the presentation here, and now we're going to open for a Q&A section. So again, if you have any questions, type those in on the Q&A box, and we'll try to answer those as many questions as possible. So let me open here my Q&A box. So okay, so we are running a little bit out of time. So let's take a look on the first one. Okay, so it's asking about alarms and trend files. So pretty much the history, right? The alarm history and trend history. So okay, so when you generate files during the testing, during the startup, are those files added to the collaboration, to the Team Foundation server? No, they are not. So InduSoft knows what are the type of files that needs to be added because they are part of the project itself, and what files are not part of the project. So even if we go to the Team Foundation real quick here, let me jump real quick here to the Team Foundation. And if I go here, you see that, for instance, that's my project on my server. If you look at the project structure on InduSoft, you always have the alarm and history folder. You see that on my Team Foundation, InduSoft not even pushed these folders to the Team Foundation server because, again, that's not part of the project. That's a resulting of the project. So that is treated as external content, and those are not automatically added to the collaboration server. If you need, again, you can always add external files, documents, PLC programs through this interface. So if you need to, for example, add a recipe, let's say, so then you can add those files to the collaboration server. Okay, so okay, so I missed part of the presentation. Maybe is that possible to defer a script file when we were plain text file? This was easy to do. Just wondering if that's possible with the collaboration server. Great question. Yeah, it is. So let's do a quick. We're kind of running out of time, but let's do a quick here. Let's create very quickly. So let me check it, or not even checking that. Let's first create a script here. So I'm going to open my main procedures. I'm going to create a function here, very basic. So my, let's say, control function, whatever name you want to give here, or control val function. And then I'm going to do end function. And right now, I'm just going to declare, for instance, there will be a variable called x. So I'm going to save that. InduSoft will mark that to be added. And now I can come here and do a check-in. So I'm going to do a check-in of only this file. So this way it's a little bit faster. So we check in that file. Now it's no longer marked to be added. And now I come here and I start actually writing my function. So for I equals 1 to 10, next, right? So I start writing, I save that. But now I'm not 100% sure that the changes I made are correct. So again, I can right-click and say compare. And again, InduSoft will open the two files side by side, and again, we'll highlight it for you what are the changes. So the change was, okay, this portion of the code didn't exist before, right? So, and then you can either choose to continue and commit the check-in, perform the check-in, or you can simply come back and say undo my pending change for that file. It will undo the pending change, and now it's going to show back to the original condition. Very good question. So yes, you can compare several files. The one that we are not supporting yet is screen files. So as of today, we are not able to compare screen files yet. But eventually, we are working. We have on our roadmap to be able to compare even screen files using the compare tool from the collaboration tool add-on. Okay. So another question here. So what happens when conflict occurs? Okay, very good question as well. So what happens that pretty much if there is a conflict, it will open for you a dialogue saying there is a conflict, and then you can either choose to merge the conflict, choose to keep the local version, the server version, or if it's and it also says you, okay, if you want to use the Team Foundation Explorer, you can also resolve the conflict on Team Foundation Explorer. But very, very good question as well. Another question here is, okay, are you aware of any PLC software with built-in integration to a source control system? Not that we are aware. As we said, InduSoft was really the pioneer on creating a solution, a built-in, a native integrated solution on the automation for SCADA world. But again, just like I did during the presentation, you can always manually add files through the Team Foundation. Is not as nice, not as integrated as using, for example, the add-on with InduSoft Web Studio, but at least you have the functionality to add your project files, your schematics, documentation, PLC, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I think we are running out of time now here. So again, I'd just like to thank you all for taking the time and participating on the webinar today. Hopefully you guys liked what you see about our collaboration to add-on. And if you have any other questions, if you're trying to use, trying to install, and you have any questions, feel free to contact us through our support team. Okay, thank you very much, and talk to you on our next webinar. Bye-bye.